What's going on, YouTube? Got another knife review here for you. Today we're going to be looking at the Brad Southard Mid-Tech Tolk, otherwise known as his Performance Series line. Brad first came out with the Performance Series with the Avo. This was a while back. I can't actually remember exactly when it was. Sometime last year. And kind of hit the knife scene by storm. And for good reason. It was just such a incredible, as all Southards tend to be, just a great sized EDC blade. Just very, I don't know how to describe it, just very utilitarian design, simple, very smooth lines, good thin edge on the primary bevel, or sorry, on the secondary bevel, so the cutting edge. Decent steel, all titanium construction other than the hardware. So you got a titanium clip as well as a hinder lock bar stabilizer. The Avo is running B75P, which is Carpenter's version of BG42 steel. And again, so it's very popular. This one is a little bit different as it's a monkey edge frag panner design. So I believe only 8 or 9 of these exist out there. So kind of a special piece in my collection. And I anodized this one gold or bronze and blue on the frag panner lines. So kind of really made this one my own, as you can really do to all mid-techs out there. I did that to my Graham. I did that to my Mosier Kendrick. What's it called? Burning Horizon knife. So anyway, down the road, I think back in November or so, Brad opened up his Performance Series books or pre-orders to get in on these knives. And I quickly jumped on the opportunity because I knew the Avo was pretty sweet, and so I really wanted to get a Tolk as I really enjoyed these lines. I knew that it was going to be a much bigger knife, but didn't realize how big it would be, and was pretty taken aback actually. Surprised at how enormous this knife is. If you measure end to end, you get a good inch or so on the blade. In terms of the blade, actual blade length, it's a 3.87 inch blade versus the Avo's 3.5 inch. But when you do measure it from the heel of the handle, you do get quite a bit more reach on there, as you can see there in frame. Here really just quickly in comparison to the Spyderco Southard, also it's going to be about the same. The Spyderco Southard is pretty much about the same as the Avo, but the Tolk just really dwarfs both of them. Now here's the thing about this particular one though, as Brad's kind of been perfecting his, I guess, not just design, but also kind of just the performance of his knives. Despite how big these handles are, he decided to mill out via CNC machine. I don't know if you can see it in there. Let me see if I can grab my flashlight really quick. Of course, with one hand, it's impossible here, but you can see the pockets that are milled out in that presentation frame, hopefully right there, and then also over here, having a hard time shining the light maybe from behind right there. You can see those pockets, those huge pockets that are milled out. There's a lot of titanium that's taken out, and even on the lock side, there's also some some pockets milled out right above the actual frame blocks. You see here as well as here, and even like a little circle in the back. So I'm not sure if you're able to see that or not, but yeah, it's the best I can do. Sorry about that. But in terms of design elements, so there's that, and it really lightens up this knife. The Avo, at least this frag pattern Avo, weighed in about 4.1 or so ounces. And then the Tolk, despite its size, you do get quite a bit of steel that's ground out of here. But again, despite its size, it weighs in at 4.3 or 4.4 ounces. So I was just really impressed. Again, just when I took it out of the box, I was expecting like heft and you know, maybe like a thicker blade and all those things, but it came out to be really, really thin and really, really light. And to be honest, it almost felt cheap. And after handling it, after playing with it, after flipping it, gosh, hundreds of times, and it's smoothed out and everything, I really started to appreciate even more how light and how EDC friendly this knife is, despite its size. You know, just again in ways of comparison, here it is next to the Michael Birch Midtech, the V2, and of course, as always, the Sebenza. Got right here. So larger than all of these knives by by quite a bit actually. You know, when you look at it in frame of this picture, if I can measure it or if I can line them all up, I'm trying to do this as I'm looking at the screen. You know, it's a approximate, but the Tolk extends quite a bit further than all the other knives, and of course you are getting kind of a keystone aspect, maybe this way a little bit. So the Sebenza, you know, from my perspective, doesn't look like it's that much smaller, but in the frame, you know, it's going to show because it's further from the camera. But anyway, that aside, you know, as I was doing more measurements and comparisons, really the knife that it's almost exactly the same as is the Shirogorov. This is the Model 95T. And in terms of length, in terms of handle, and in terms of blade, you're pretty much getting the exact same thing in this Tolk as the Shirogorov. But the Tolk comes in substantially lighter than the Shirogorov, as there's no pocketing in this, you know, the frame of the Shirogorov. So in terms of the steel on this blade, you're getting CTS XHP, and so that's standard for all the Tolks. On my Instagram, I was just kind of showing off the knife, and then Brad chimed in on it and hinting at the possibility of a carbon fiber model of the Tolk. So that would be really cool if that's something that he actually does. Supposedly, as of May of 2015, I had heard that the Avos are discontinued. So I'm not sure if that's true or not. He might have a special run here or there, but as for now, I think he's just focused on fulfilling all the orders of the Tolk. Inside, in terms of the frame, you have very similar lines as the normal Avo. I don't think it's cut as deep as the Avo. Inside, in terms of the frame lock, you have a ceramic detent ball in there, and then for the bearings, I think you just have kind of just regular steel bearings in there. Fit and finish is spectacular on this knife as well. Absolutely no lock rock whatsoever. I mean, it's so incredibly solid for such a skinny knife that it is. No side to side at all. The tolerances are amazing on this knife. I loosened this pivot all the way. I took the screw completely off, and even when I tried to muscle some side to side, I didn't really feel any, as well as up and down. There's nothing going on there. Flow through design, so it's just 3 titanium pillars that are all anodized blue. So he accented this knife somewhat, you know, I mean, somewhat like the Sebenza. So, you know, with the Sebenza, typically the standard one's going to have that one titanium standoff, you know, that is kind of like a collar around all the screws. And then you've got the blue thumb stud on the Sebenza. So, you know, whether or not it's a Sebenza killer, we haven't heard that word, you know, for a long time, since what, the VCP or the Bradley alias. But I don't know. I mean, it's kind of like hinting a little bit. Not that anybody can't do, you know, blue accents on their knives, but to be honest, at $480, you know, that's at cost, versus $420, $430 that the Sebenzas are. You know, the Tolk is an amazing option and just as smooth. It's got that hydraulic feel I was talking to one of my friends on Instagram, and he was like, "Man, it's so hydraulic," and I agree with that assessment. You can flick it with a thumb stud very easily. The detent's not overbearing where you can't deploy it with a thumb stud, and then flipping action is incredible as well. So again, fit and finish and tolerances on this knife are honestly, I would say, comparable to the Sebenza. The grind lines on here look awesome. Sorry for my fingerprints there, but you got this nice satin stonewash and then these grind lines. I'm not sure what belt he took it, but you can feel it, on your nail. It's kind of cool. And as you wipe it down with cloth or something, you hear the cloth kind of rubbing against those grind lines. So very aesthetically pleasing. You got the mark of the steel right there on the blade, and then Brad's logo on there as well. I think this is more just for his performance series. The custom pivot, is something that he did in-house. So he stuck all his pivots in his, I don't know if it was a lathe or what, but he was milling out all these little areas just to make it a little bit more special. The standard screw, I think, is a T9 Torx bit, and that's still just going to be normal domed screw right there. So other than that, one thing to note is that the jimping on this knife is cut really sharp, and I think it's deliberate. It gives you so much grip. Placing I can't slide my thumb at all as I'm gripped down. And then I don't know if you'd really call it a hot spot, but when you're bearing down like this, your index finger on these jimps on the lock bar, this also is pretty sharp on the titanium, so it bears down and it can kind of eat at your finger a little bit. And then back here as well in reverse grip, man, these jimps just dig right into your thumb. I'm dragging my thumb here and it's not moving at all. So, I mean, it's comfortable, but it's pretty sharp. So, I don't know if you'd really call this a tactical knife because of how thin it is, but the jimping would kind of lead you to think that it might be. Super smooth. I mean, it doesn't fall on its own weight because I don't think the blade is that heavy, but just with a little shake here and there, it'll go down. Even just with one smooth shake, it'll go down. And then the other thing is the jimps on the flipper are also quite sharp, so they'll dig into your finger as you're flipping through. So especially as you're smoothing it out, flipping it over and over, this has gotten like crazy smooth within a day. Lockup is, I don't know, maybe around 15 to 20%. So very good lockup as well. And like I said, it's tight. It is absolutely rock solid in there. So no movement whatsoever. Can't say the same about the Avo. The Avo's got some up and down play. No side to side, and it's not, I mean, this is an older one. It's not nearly as smooth as the Tolk. I'm not sure if it has to do with the modifications that I did. I was pretty careful about, putting nail polish and stuff in places where it'd be contacting. But there are steel washers inside of here as well. So the bearings are riding steel on steel. I'm assuming that the Tolk is going to be the same as well. So, but other than that, those are pretty much my general impressions of the Tolk. Really, really fantastic job by Brad. Really appreciate how much work he put into it to smooth it out. It's not just a raw finished product that comes straight out of the CNC machine that he sends it out to. But once he gets all the parts, he does a lot of labor on these knives. So a lot of personal work, a lot of personal hand touches on this knife from Brad, and you can really feel it and get a sense of that. The only thing really that I would wish for the Tolks, I know they offer steel flame, like quote unquote custom knives, or custom clips. I really wish there was some kind of milled clip on here. I know that would add to the cost, but in my opinion, it'd be worth it. So, but other than that, that's really it's not even a complaint because the clip still works great, kind of like a Sebenza clip. It's more or less the same. So great knife by Brad. I'm glad to have had a chance to get this knife, and hopefully it's one that I'll be able to keep in my collection. Yeah. So anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, guys, and as always, I will see you guys on the next vid. Take care. Bye.